Fortnite just dropped a massive new update, including a huge nerf to the rocket ram. We also have people saying that it is confirmed Fresh is joining Power, and we have pro players being banned for over 700 days. It's a crazy video. We got a lot to talk about. Let's jump into it. Let's kick off with the new update, and biggest of all, the rocket ram nerf. The rocket ram now only has 3 uses and no impact damage, but these changes are only in competitive. So in pubs and ranked, the rocket ram is still infinite and it will still do 25 or 50 damage on impact. Now in competitive, so tournaments only, you only have 3 uses. It's just like a harpoon. Once you use it 3 times, it just disappears. It vanishes. It looks like when you take down an opponent with a rocket ram, it always resets back to its maximum 3 uses, kind of like how med miss always go back to 150 if you eliminate an opponent. And a lot of people are quite upset with this. A lot of people are happy, but I think this is a really big step in the right direction. We have been asking Epic for such a long time to split the loopholes, not just maybe making some things in competitive and some things not, actually make the weapons function differently in competitive versus pubs. There's so many times fun items come out that are really exciting, they're really awesome, they're a bit goofy though, and they ruin competitive. Because they want to leave them in competitive, they end up nerfing them into the ground, and then they end up being boring in pubs. Or the opposite, all of the fun items end up being too strong in competitive, and because they don't want to nerf them for pubs, they just remove them out of comp, and then we've got a boring meta that no one wants to play or watch. We've been asking for this for such a long time. The rocket ram in regular lobbies is not extremely OP. It is not unbalanced in any way, but in competitive, it started to become an issue. Now, the rocket ram, with how strong the twin mag ARs are, have already been a pretty weak mobility because you just get obliterated. You try to use the rocket ram, you get beamed. It's happening to a lot of people, but one of the biggest issues with the rocket ram was the chaos it causes in endgame. Unfortunately, that chaos is kind of still there. They reduced the damage that it does when you land on someone and you actually slam into the ground. It doesn't do damage anymore, but if you actually hit someone while moving, it still does damage. But the biggest issue is the knockback and fall damage. You might be thinking the rocket ram's not that bad. I haven't really been dying to it. If you've been playing stacked endgames, you probably had a clip that looks like this.
Please, God, please! What is happening to me? No!
Let me play out my life, bro.
What?
This gets so stupid.
Now, while this can still happen because the fall damage is still there from the rocket ram, because of it only having 3 uses, a lot of players weren't running it today in the evaluation cup. It was already a weaker mobility like I talked about. You get beamed a lot of teams were choosing not to run it. With it only having 3 uses now, so few teams are actually running the rocket ram, but this has now led to more teams running either triple meds, snipers, or potentially worse yet, C4. Kinch Analytics actually did a fantastic job of running the stats. He said in the last Duo Cash Cup before the rocket ram nerfs, there was 67% of people in the EU Duo Cash Cup final who had a rocket in the 6th zone. Now it's only 39% in today's evaluation cup, so just over half the amount of players are running it, and because of that, the amount of people carrying C4 has gone up from 17% to 24%. But I'd actually argue the impact of the C4 is even higher because players are using that C4 even earlier now to get eliminations and play more aggressively. So it looks like we kind of potentially traded one issue for another. A lot of pro players are not enjoying C4 in the current meta, but I still think this rocket ram change was a good one, and because we've now got a change to an item in competitive versus pubs, this is a huge step in the right direction for future updates. I really hope Epic keeps a hold of this and doesn't just think, hey, we'll either vault the item or just nerf it into the ground. You can just change it in competitive. Another change a lot of people are happy about is we have the island flag points and the tower points back in the game. If you capture a flag, you're going to gain 15 points. If you capture a tower, you're going to gain 3. Now, I saw a bunch of people on social media saying this only happens in finals, but I was watching it happen today in the evaluation cup open. So I don't know if that's a glitch. I don't know if you're only meant to be getting points in finals, but today in evaluation cup, you are getting points in both opens and finals. Another big change to competitive is we have the addition of 0 build ranked solos. This is now going to be enabled across all regions, but there are different time zones when when you can actually play it. In the more popular regions like EU and NA East, it's running all day, and for some reason Middle East, I don't know if Middle East's player base is just crazy like that, but those are the 3 regions it's running all day. For the other regions like NA West, Asia, OCE, you can only play solo 0 build ranked when the region is at its most popular, so usually at the afternoon into the night. So I like this as a change. Honestly, I think a lot of people did really enjoy solo 0 build ranked when it was out, and obviously they have the stats to back it up that the player base is there for it. The fact they're only opening up at certain times is going to cause a lot of issues potentially for people not really understanding when they can and can't play it and just assuming it's not in the game, but for the big regions like EU and NA East, it's at least something new to play. Outside of that, with the update, we had some Star Wars cosmetics. We have Ahsoka in the game. We have Ahsoka's lightsabers. We have soaring sprints coming back with a whole bunch of other augments. Most of them aren't going to really impact the game too much. It looks like most players were excited about soaring sprints returning. There wasn't a huge amount of content in this update. Let's move on to talking about why we've just seen pros banned for over 700 days. If you've been watching any of my videos or anything around the console tournaments for the last few seasons, you know they have been an absolute teaming nightmare, especially the PlayStation Cups. For whatever reason, Sony keeps running solo events. I think it's because they just care about how many people are playing. They don't at all care about the competitive integrity of the event. Players were getting paid out for straight up teaming. I'm talking whole squads rotating together and literally healing each other. Not just like, oh, I wonder if he's not shooting at that guy because he knows him. No, like genuinely walking up and healing each other levels of teaming. And pretty much it went unchecked. No one was getting punished until now. We have a whole bunch of people in the community getting banned, some of them getting over 700-day bans for teaming. I don't know if these are going to stick. I don't know if this was intentional. I have to imagine it's not. A lot of other people are getting 24 and 1 week bans as well. Usually for teaming, you get a 1 to 2 week bans. You definitely don't get 700 days, but a lot of people are saying it's justified. When they're at that level of teaming, when they know they are teaming, they're literally healing each other, they should see a hefty ban. Now, I'm not going to weigh in on whether I think a 700-day ban is warranted, but I'm happy to see Epic is doing something to kind of combat this, because the PlayStation Cups aren't a small prize pool, and honestly, they are quite fun to watch. I love supporting the console community. A lot of console players getting upset when the PC players get PlayStations to come and play in their tournaments, but it's really opened my eyes to how good some of these console players are, and we've seen a lot of them then go on to dominate in the PC tournaments against PC players still on their PlayStation. So it's interesting to see, but I mean, 700 days, that might be a little bit too much. Last but not least, we finally know how the $4 million being given away in the Global Championship is going to be split. Now remember, this tournament is in less than 3 weeks, the biggest event since World Cup, and now we finally know the prize pool, and it's looking good. This has the community extremely excited. Every single player who goes is going to make money. Now remember, there are 2 days of heats to get from 75 teams down to 50 to play the finals. A lot of us were assuming, myself included, that those 25 teams weren't going to make anything if they didn't make finals. They were just going to get their free trip to Copenhagen, but it looks like they're going to walk away with at least $4,000 just for making it to Copenhagen. Now for making the finals, that jumps up to $10,000, but let's go to the top where it gets very exciting. First place is going to walk away with $1 million. Now remember, this is split, but that means each player is going to get $500,000, and this is given away in 6 games. This is not a 2-day final. There are 2 days of qualifiers, and the finals is 6 games, 1 day to decide potentially someone making $500,000. We have a pretty sizable jump down to second place at $650,000, third is $400,000, fourth is $300,000, and fifth is $200,000. But even at 6th place, you're making $150,000. This money is going to be ridiculous. I don't feel like there's enough hype around this tournament. It being an FNCS-less season, I feel like not many people are focusing on the high level of competitive right now, but you're going to want to pay attention. I'm going to be doing a 72-hour stream for this, giving away V-Bucks, running tournaments, doing a bunch of crazy cool stuff, and you should start to get hyped because $4 million is going to Fortnite players, and it's looking pretty ridiculous.